Hello everyone, welcome to lesson 6 of using Python and Blend to create a model, and this lesson we're continuing an animation of our more advanced water tank model. So in this lesson we're going to animate the water coming out of this valve tank. This valve vent, because last time we animated these valves turning, and what those valves are supposed and closing, and those valves are supposed to allow water into this vessel, and then water overflows, and then the valves immediately close, except for valve 7, this valve. Yeah. So in this lesson, we're creating the water flowing out from this valve vent. So let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're actually gonna just create valve. Remember we created that. Normally said size is 0.12. Now it's 0.2. So that means all of these valves are gonna be bigger, which will make this look ugly, but we have to do that. And we'll fix the ugliness in another lesson. Alright. Now we can continue. So let's create some space, and then over here a comment, liquid simulation valve vent, and because it's coming out of valve vent, hanging out the water over here. So the first thing we need to make is create a big cube, and that's going to be our fluid domain. And if you don't remember from a lot of episodes ago, a fluid domain is just the domain where water flows. So we're creating a big cube, and that's going to be our domain. So let's start the primitive cube. That size is 5, location is 0, 0, 1. So the z coordinate is lifted above the rest, but other than that, it's like right like this. It's a box around that area for water to flow. Domain, we're gonna name it bpy.context object domain name domain. Okay, now let's add a modifier, and this modifier is just gonna tell us what to make the cube, so we can do the name dot modifiers. The domain is this dot modifier dot new size is 5. Actually, no, I confuse this with creating the thing. Name is fluid domain. Type is fluid. So it's fluid. And there are multiple types of domains. So So it could be like fire, gas domain, and then the fluid domain. So that's what we're making. The modifiers. That's what we're modifying. Now we're just adding saying domain. That fluid type is domain because what's domain and settings equals dom mod domain settings. So we're just defining this so it's easier to use domain settings or dom settings. Settings.domain type is liquid. Dom mod.domain settings. Dom settings.domain type equals liquid. So we're making it so it knows that's liquid, and here dom settings, we only use dom settings because we had the variable. So now we're done with the domain. Now we're add a liquid inflow source. Inflow is just telling Blender to make the flow go out. We can make it flowing out. So the source is actually this vent. So the water's coming out of not this vent, this valve vent. It's actually going to come out of here. It's going to come out of that. Come out of this valve vent. Alright. So, I'm actually gonna add a bit more space between this and the other thing. Flow mod equals flow vj.product fires new name equals fluid flow and type equals fluid. Alright, and actually I forgot to add flow vj is equal to valve front handle. Sorry, I forgot to add that. No. Over here, we just use flow modifiers to define. So like the fluid type, it's flow because it's inflow, it's flowing out. This is kind of ironic because this inflow, it's flowing out and it's called an inflow. Now flow mod flow settings flow settings flow type is liquid flow flow settings flow behavior equals inflow. So the behavior is flowing out and it's liquid, so it's liquid that's flowing out. Now we can add keyframes. At frame 60, start the flow. So first we use flow mod.flow settings dot use and flow equals false. So it's not flowing out yet because it's frame 1. I don't want to click flow out from frame 1. So flow my.flow settings dot keyframe insert data path equals use inflow frame equals 1. So frame 1, it's just off. There's nothing. Flow mod. Now we're doing it on subject true because at frame 60 it's true, right? Because we want to use it, the inflow, so it flows out. Insert data path equals use inflow. And frame we set to 60 because that's also when the valves fully turn and the water comes out. Alright, now at frame 70, stop the flow. So at frame 70, stop the flow because by frame 70, all the valves are completely turned back to closed position. So that means the water cannot flow out anymore. So we set flow mod.flow settings that use inflow from up here back to false, and then we insert keyframe settings type keyframe insert data path equals use inflow frame is 70. Alright, now I didn't close this. Now let's test this out. Okay, so you can see water is coming out. All the valves are large now because we set the valves to 0.2. But we have to do this because the source has to be 0.2 or like around 0.2 in size. This is because the domain source thing needs to be large enough for the water to flow. And you can see it's flowing, but if we play that again, also we're going to remove the domain box in another lesson, so we have to wait for that. We can see the water just passes through these two, the floor and the vessel, and that's not good because we don't want the vessel to be a ghost and the water just passes through it. So we have to code collision effects, fluid collide effects, vessel collision. So we're gonna add a collision effect so that the water actually can collide to the vessel, and then we're gonna do the floor on next. So vessel bpy data objects test vessel. So over here on the right, we find test vessel. That's what we're gonna name it in Python. Test vessel vessel effect is vessel modifiers dot new. Name is fluid effector tank. Type is fluid. So we're making a new modifier, fluid effector tank, and effector basically is just going to help us make it. So fluid type is effector. Like it's just going to help us make it collide. Effector type is collision, so we know that the water can collide with the vessel. With the effector, which helps us use that. So floor collision. Floor is dot data dot objects. Floor. Oh wait, this part is also supposed to be brackets, so I didn't notice that. And then floor effector is floor dot modifiers dot new name. So the same thing as last time. Fluid effector floor, that's the name. Type is fluid. And you have to capitalize everything here. Okay. Floor effector. And that's not an equal sign. Fluid type. So the same thing as the tank. But that's in the vessel, the deck. So effector. Floor effector settings. The effector type is collision. So same thing in this vessel, right? But this time we're going to add something new. Floor effector settings. Dot surface distance. And making the floor thicker. And I'll tell you why. So the effector, if the floor is too thin, then it won't work and the water will still pass through the floor. But if it's too thick, the effector will also not work. And the water will just like hover above the floor. So to make it work, you have to make the domain.dimensions.x, so take the x of the domain and then divide that by the resolution max of the set of it. So domain dimensions of domain settings, and basically that's like the perfect size for the floor for the effector to work. Okay, surface distance. Alright, that's like the perfect size. And if you run it, wait, I'll just vessel modifiers dot new is not defined. I'm just fixing the typos. Oh wait, it's not vessel modified underscore dot vessel dot modify. Okay, now there's no errors. Go to animation. Alright. And the water's coming out, and you can see it's flowing on the sides of the vessel. It's flowing. See, it's not going through the floor, and you can see the floor. Okay, I was wrong. It's not the thickness, it's the surface area. My bad. But yeah, it works now. And that's it for this lesson. Next lesson, we're adding some ways to remove the big box at the beginning, because that's annoying. We can't see the animation we did for the elephants and some more stuff. So see you then. Bye.